Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conspiracy Farm, where we don't start the conspiracies, we just add the water. And now, your host of the most state-of-the-art, most informed podcast on the interweb, I present to you Pat Miletich and Jeffrey Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for war?
We are off, ladies and gentlemen, to the races. Another episode. Going to be a nice little follow-up to a previous episode of the Conspiracy Farm. Jeffrey Wilson rolling shotgun with UFC Hall of Famer Pat Miletich. What's up, sensation?
Hey, this is 2 days in a row that you and I have put together shows, but this is an important one. Yesterday was an important one. We've got a special guest back after his weekend experience. It sounds like one hell of an experience, so let's get started.
Well, yeah, part one kind of was, we were kind of doing the before and after. Obviously, our one of our head sponsors been with us since day one. Tim James, chemicalfreebody.com, chemicalfreebody.com/farmer detox for just a litany of things for your gut health, ladies and gentlemen. Your gut health is just absolutely essential to your overall health. We talk about it in many of episodes, but tonight we're going to discuss and go back to kind of part one. Just a few weeks ago, it was about a month ago, we had Tim on before he went and had his ayahuasca experience, and then he is back tonight to say how it went and just kind of if you're looking for more in-depth information on ayahuasca, what it is exactly, go back to kind of episode a few weeks ago. I forget which one it was. 99, actually 100, wasn't it? It was episode 100.
Yeah, 100.
Absolutely. And so to kind of get debriefed on that. But Timothy, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing really good, guys, and I am pumped and excited to share my experience on ayahuasca. I've been wanting to do this now for quite a few months, and this is going to be awesome.
So, like when we went, what was your expectations? I know you kind of spoke on this in the other episode, but going into it, kind of encapsulating the before mindset, etc. What were you thinking before going into this?
Well, there were some things in my life that I wanted to release that were, kind of holding me back, I thought. I kind of felt that. And there were some things that I wanted to reaffirm in my life that I was doing. But when you get kind of caught in the day-to-day stuff with business and family and doing all these things, sometimes you lose your passion a little bit for what you're doing. And I got completely reinvigorated with that, with my message. And it's just, man, I'm so pumped and excited to tell you all about this. It's like ridiculous. We couldn't even do this in like 10 hours. I mean, I could write like multiple books, like a sequel on like this 6-hour experience on the second night. So, yeah.
And this was all recorded.
No, they didn't let us.
They didn't let you record it.
We stressed that in that first part one to hopefully get it on video or in some way recorded. But whatever, as long as you remembered it, you recorded it in the annals of your history.
Well, that's the thing is, do you remember every bit of it?
I remember a lot of it, actually. I remember a lot of it. Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people, including myself, I mean, there are bits and pieces and large chunks that you don't remember on some hallucinogens and things like that. I mean, when I was obviously younger in college, having eaten mushrooms and stuff a couple times, I didn't remember a lot of it.
Yeah. I remembered quite a bit, which I'm pretty excited about.
Well, and as we spoke on in the last episode, you didn't necessarily go down to the jungles of Peru. In a lot of different books and documentaries you see now, ayahuasca is becoming so ubiquitous. You have a lot of people who are getting a lot of it shipped into the U.S. So if you don't mind, break down how that night went. How did that kind of shape up? Getting together with with other people, was the energy good with the people you were around? How did it all play out?
Yeah, so I went down there with my girlfriend, Rebecca. She'd actually had done ayahuasca 18 times, so she had a lot of experience. Like I said, she was kind of like a practicing shaman, so that made me feel real comfortable. The shaman, we actually had 2 shamans at this one, which was really neat. So we had 2, and one of the gals personally had taken ayahuasca over 400 times and done she's been doing, I don't know, like 20, 30 years, almost every month, doing an ayahuasca ceremony. So we were working with someone that had a lot of experience, that has actually been in the jungles for 15 days at a time and doing this stuff, and actually has a personal relationship with the women down, the local indigenous people that are making this stuff. And she was explaining it to us like these women have so much, they put so much love and heart and soul. They have like 11 of these big, huge vats like big, huge steel vats, and they're slow brewing it. It's like a 24-day process, and they do it right, and they sit there and they have people stirring it for like 11 days nonstop, like 24 hours a day, doing shifts, slowly breaking it down so it gets it down into more of a paste, and so it doesn't burn it. And they're chanting and praying and doing all this stuff to the medicine. So I mean, it's completely pure. It's from the local plants, from those indigenous people, and so I felt really good about, I think I was in the right place at the right time to do this, because there are a lot of places out there, and people have to be careful, where people just say, I'm a shaman, and they get some of this stuff, and it's not quite as, what it's supposed to be. And I've talked to quite a few people since I've, been thinking about doing this, and heard some people say, I didn't really have a good experience at all, or I didn't really feel much, or, this and that. And I learned a lot, and I want to kind of clear the air and explain that tonight, so that people make sure that when they're doing it, you have to find somebody that's like living it and breathing it, and is getting really good, pure medicine. That's very important.
I want to ask, how much does it cost for an ayahuasca weekend?
It depends. It depends on where you go and who you're doing it with.
Give us what it cost you.
Well, for me, it was like, I got kind of the bro deal, so it was like $400.
Okay.
Right, which is like nothing, but most of these things are 1,000 to, it could be more, $2,500. And a lot of people, that's totally worth it. I mean, I would have paid 4,000. I would have, maybe I'd have paid 40 grand for this experience, because it was so life-changing for me. But a lot of people would like to do it, but they don't want to, get in an airplane, which is not a big deal, but fly down to the jungles and be bit by bugs all the time.
Right.
And be out there, and it's scary, and they don't know. And so having it in a place in the States where it's in the comfort of somebody's home, and it's all set up, and there's bathrooms, and you have your own bed, or you're sleeping in a tent outside. We actually had one guy, he actually slept in the field behind the house in the grass. He threw a sleeping bag out there, and he did that. Was pretty cool. But my girlfriend and I had a tent, and we got to sleep under the stars, which was super cool. But so the prices can range depending on where you're at in accommodations and what they're charging.
So I want to start from the very beginning, the moment you started feeling it, or the prep work that they did with you, what they told you before going into this whole thing, and kind of lead us through it.
Yeah. So first thing, which is a big thing, which is, is one of my main focuses, is helping people, solve their gut issues and get on a good, clean diet, living foods, raw foods, healthy stuff, fresh veggies and that kind of stuff. So the diet is, there was no spices a week before. No fermented foods, no vinegar, which is pretty easy for me. No salt, which I don't do a lot of salt anyway. And they just want you to be as clean as possible, because what I noticed in the group is when people were taking the medicine, the ones that were the most unhealthy, they were the ones that were really purging and throwing up a lot, and it was a lot deeper. And, some of it could have been their health stuff working its way out, but there could have been also purging deep emotional traumas as well. But it just seemed like the people that were the least healthiest had the deepest purges in most cases.
Code Brown,
but not all cases, because there was a guy next to me who was pretty healthy and skinny and looked pretty good, and he went through some deep stuff. I mean, he was right next to me, and I'm talking just like, whoa. It was
traumatic.
Deep. Yeah, just the depths of what, when they throw up, they're just purging, some deep emotional traumas and stuff like that. So we ate clean, and you go down there with intentions. And one of my biggest intentions was I was adopted at birth. And when you're adopted, it's best during the process you're born, and then off you go, and you never get to lay on your mother's chest, because then the mother becomes attached, and then they don't want to give up the kid.
Right.
So so that's what happened to me, and I always felt like I was. I had some type of a detachment, and I had a hard time like really feeling deeply. And I actually thought maybe I was having a hard time trusting women because of this experience. So I just wanted to go there, and that was actually one of the first things that happened. But before I get to that, so we go there, and they go through the ceremony stuff, and then they clear the room, and they're smoking this stuff called mapacha, and they're blowing smoke and clearing the spirits, and the room's very dark, and I actually had an iPad, and we're all just laying in this big circle together on our pads and our little things to set up straight, and it was just they go around the room and they do this thing where they clear the room of bad spirits and bad energy, and they do all this stuff. And then eventually you go up and they pour you, a little cup, half ounce, 2 ounces maybe of this of the ayahuasca. And you guys were asking earlier, and it's basically a plant vine, which they mix with another plant that allows the DMT to actually sustain itself for 6, 7, 8 hours, which it's called the spirit molecule or the death molecule, because when we die, that's when the DMT is released. It's the only time. And the cool thing is, like, our bodies actually produce it. Our liver produces it, our pineal gland, and DMT is found in every living substance. Every living creature, every living plant has DMT in it. But when we eat the stuff, our body naturally suppresses it. So by mixing these two vines, and we talked about this in episode 100, which I think was part 2 after Sam Tripoli's talk,
Right.
that these indigenous people figured out a way to not let that get blocked so that you could actually experience that molecule for a sustained period of time and break through. And that death molecule, supposedly, or spirit molecule, is there to allow you to clear out all the crap and all the rough stuff that's happened to you and allow you to have a nice journey back to, back to the one, the God, he, she, or it, whatever you want to call it, whatever your religion is. And man, you get to experience that stuff for a long time, and it's super cool. It was super cool.
So what are you experiencing, though? What are you feeling physically? What are you thinking mentally? Paint a picture for us.
And
So
did
when
you
I
have
went-
any experience with psychedelics prior to this, going into it?
Not really. I mean, I took a little bit of mushrooms one time and then went dancing, but I think I was stoned too, and I can't remember.
Okay.
But it didn't really, not much. And then I took them another time and got a headache. So I had really no experience with psychedelics. And so the first night, I mean, I took the medicine, and after we drink it, I'm just like, and it kind of smells like smoky hickory stuff. So I kind of liked it. And a lot of people were like, "You like the taste? Well, wait till you throw up. You won't like it anymore." And so I took it, and then I was just like, I started like deep meditation. I was like doing breath work because I was waiting for something to just like grab me by the back of the neck and just hit me, And after about 45 minutes of this deep breathing, I'm like, shit, nothing's happening. So I just kind of relaxed, and everybody else was kind of relaxed, and nobody was really into it yet. And then I found out that it was like, it takes about an hour and a half or 2 hours to kick in.
Okay.
So I just relaxed. I'm sitting there doing my thing, and you're in the darkness, and all of a sudden I kind of felt like my body got warm. My whole body, my arms and my chest and my head got kind of warm. And I was just sitting there meditating, and I saw, a little bit of some faces, and then I saw some like geometric patterns, but it was very faint. It was kind of come and go, just different than you would normally get when you close your eyes and see shit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then I went back, and you can go back for a second helping, and I went back and got a second helping, and it was kind of more of the same. And in one way, I was a little disappointed because nothing really happened. But then I talked to the shaman the next day, and she's like, "Oh, well, the medicine typically, which is possible in most cases for somebody new, it's just going to go in the first night, and kind of assess your body and assess your spirit, and kind of find out where the work needs to be happening. That's why they always do 2 nights, not just one." So I was like, okay. So I was really hopeful to get this, life-changing experience that I paid for, took time out of my life to go do. And, I wanted to heal myself of some of these past traumas and stuff that I thought might be hanging around. And so second night, we go back in, and I take the stuff, and yeah, this time 2 hours goes by and nothing, no warm body, no experience, no geometric patterns. I didn't see nothing. I'm just like, geez, man, this is probably not going to happen for me, but quit worrying about expectations, just be in the moment. Went back for my second dose, took it, and then I don't know, it was probably like a half an hour or so, and then boom, all of a sudden, and I think it came when she started playing the drums, which is really cool. So these shamans were just awesome. They would sing, and they would play drums, and they were playing guitar, and it really, they were saying when you play the music, it actually helps to move the medicine through you. And I was like, well, that sounds kind of wonky, kind of hard to believe. But let me tell you what, they were spot on. And that's what happened. She started playing the drums, and all of a sudden I sat down, I laid on my side, and I curled up into the fetal position, and then all of a sudden, shit just started happening. I started seeing like colors like crazy and purple shit, and all of a sudden, I realized that I was back in the womb, and my legs
dude.
and my legs started moving. My legs started moving. They just started moving and moving, and they wouldn't stop. And then I was like, "Am I doing this?" And then I was like, I'd make a conscious effort to stop my legs, and then I'd sit there and watch it, and all of a sudden they just kick back in and start moving again. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And I make a conscious effort to stop my legs from moving again, and then boom, they kick back in. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not me, it's just the medicine working, so I'll just let it go. And I forgot about that, and my legs are moving the whole time. I'm on my side, and I'm seeing all these brilliant colors. I saw a lot of purple and just sparkly shit, and just like it was just like very vivid stuff, and I just felt like, I was like back in the womb, and everything was okay. And so that was part one of that thing. So I felt really good about, being a baby and being in the womb. Well, later on, the shaman came over, and she took that mopacho, which is like the smoky stuff, and they smoke it, and then they like blow smoke down your neck, and they blow it on your hip, and they do this stuff. And when she came up to me, I was joking around. I said, okay, I said something like, okay, like let's light this thing up, and I said, no, I know. I said, okay, it's time to smoke me out, right? She's like, yeah. And, she starts blowing the smoke on me. And then all of a sudden I just freaking gave her a hug. And then all of a sudden I just kind of laid down and put my head on her breast, and I just laid there. And all of a sudden I was with my mom, and it was like, it was the moment that I was looking for. It was like my mom was there, and she got to hold me, and it was good, because I have a good relationship with my biological mom now, and but it just healed that part of me, and it was really, really freaking like magical and awesome. And so that was like one of the big things. And I really focused on this. So, I mean, I had a really big intention on this, but I didn't have it with expectation. I just wanted to let it happen, and that's exactly what happened. So,
wow.
So I did that, and
That's heavy. That's heavy, significant stuff, dude.
Yeah, dude. It was like I was there. Okay.
Yeah.
I was in the womb. I was laying on my mother's breast, and there was like no question. Like, It was like time, space, real. I was like, boom. I was just right there in the moment, and it was really, really, really cool. And then I just had like tears like streaming down my face, and this just happened on like Saturday. So I mean, today's Monday. So
wow.
And this medicine continues to work through you for days, weeks, and maybe even months, if you don't go back and start eating crappy and doing all this stuff. So
right.
So my body's moving the whole time, and like if I was setting up, then my my knees were bouncing up and down. And if I was laying down flat, my feet were wiggling back and forth. I was like,
it's interesting you said that
moving.
The fetal, like you laying down in the fetals, what started this kind of fetal moment of you going into the mom's womb. So it's interesting that particular body position is what kind of started it.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, it's the drums. And the drums, I had this wonderful experience. And when they play these musics, they don't just play like a 3-minute song. I mean, it can go on for 10, 15 minutes. So you really enjoy it. When the drums were done, I remember thinking to myself to yell out more drums, because I didn't want it to end. I was just like, more, and I didn't say anything. And that happened like 3 times. And then finally later that night, I was just like, more drums. I yelled it out, and like everybody started laughing in the group. And then she came back, and she actually started playing the drums again. I don't know if that was intentional or because I requested it. And she sang this song, and then she, I don't know, she got this idea, and then she went over to the guy next to me, and she said his name. She's like, Jonathan, and boom, 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 hitting the drums, and we love Jonathan, or something like that. I can't remember the chant, but it was about Jonathan is love, and Jonathan is love, and over and over and over again. And then the whole group just started singing in unison. And then she walked over to me, and she's like, Tim is love, and just kept hitting the drums, and the whole group is singing. And then to Rebecca is love, and just went around the whole circle, and everybody was singing the entire time. I tell you what, dude, it was just like, it was amazing. Like some of the stuff that was going on. Those were just a couple of the highlights. I remember also, like I was just part of this fantastic light show, and remember the lights were just like streaming and sparkling, and I just can't even explain it. But one thing that was really cool was she was playing guitar, and I started traveling through space. So there was like different sections of it. Like I had that fetal moment, and then I came out of it, and I'd sit up and I'd be conscious, and I'd be the observer, and I'm looking around, and I'm, my girlfriend was just crying deeply, and she was going through this emotional stuff. And the guy next to me the night before, like he was puking his guts out. Now he was just sleeping, it looked like, but he would talk, and you could hear him laugh a little bit. And then, girl over in the other corner, she was puking her guts out, and this other dude was like puking his guts out. And I was observing, and like this other dude, all of a sudden he stood up, and he was just standing there, and he was kind of marching and stuff. And it's like, what is going on? Then I see the shaman on the other side, and through the darkness, she's lighting up her mapacho thing and doing the smoke deal on somebody else. And you can see this image, and I'm just looking around going, this is freaking cool. And then the guy that was standing he walked to go to the bathroom, and I see him just kind of like kicking his legs a little bit and doing this little shuffle with his wrists and hands and elbows, and like he was dancing a little bit. And then he walked into the hallway, and I couldn't see him, but then I could see his shadow, and then he just started dancing his ass off in the hallway, and I could see his shadow dancing. So that was cool. And then anyway, so she starts playing this guitar, and then I fall. And I'm like, I think, was I laying? I laid back down on my side, and all of a sudden I'm going through space. Like I am in space. Like I'm in the frickin' Star Wars spaceship or something like that. And I'm going, and the stars are moving, and I'm just traveling through space. And then all of a sudden I came to this like big, huge planet, and there was light hitting it on one edge. And I looked over in the left, and there was a big star that was shining on it. And that went on for quite a while. And then I also saw like triangle spaceships like moving around, and then I saw them like all lined up, like 4 or 5 or 6 of them. They were all in a line, just kind of just doing their thing. And
did it feel dreamlike, or did it feel like you were really there observing this? No,
dude, I was there. Like, there's no question. It was like I was there.
Awesome,
it was clear as a bell. Like, it was palatable. Like,
yeah.
I was like there's like when you watch, like when somebody goes up into the space and they show you the space views of Earth, and it looks really vivid and cool, like on a big screen.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like that. It was like I was looking out the frickin' window at the trees or some shit like that. It was totally, absolutely like I was there. I was there. So that was another thing. And then I go back and I observe for a while. And then then all of a sudden a yellow notepad appeared in front of me. And then writing started happening on the notepad. And that was one thing that what meant to me, which was I need to write more, because I've got like all this information, all this experience in my coaching program with all these real people like us that have, that I've helped through trauma and through their gut detox and doing all this stuff. And I have all this information to give to people that's helping benefit my life and then my coaching students. So I'm going to start writing more. And, it's like when I got back, I got a note from 2 magazines, like on my email requesting me to write articles. It's like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just like trippy shit. And then in the song, she was like talking about me, or not talking about me, but I took it for me, which was about finding your power and stuff. And then I saw this like golden orb with like a rod sticking up out of it. And that like was like, I just saw it like really vivid. And it was like, it symbolized power. And it was in this like, I don't know, like marble white cathedral type structure building. And I'm like, shit, there's my power. And I'm like, my power is to get this message out. And sometimes, like I was saying, you through business and life, you kind of get worn down sometimes. It's like, no, I need to embrace that. And I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna just take my message out to the world, and for those people that are ready to receive it. And I just got completely empowered about what I'm gonna do again, and keep doing what I'm doing. And so that was really cool. And another thing that was really awesome was, when I go into observance mode, where I just sit up for a while and I'm looking around, and I'm seeing all these people doing different things, crying and standing and dancing and throwing up and all this stuff and laughing and giggling. And one gal just broke out and started singing. And she sang this beautiful thing that I never heard before, this beautiful song. And I just realized that we are all very, very unique, and we all have really unique abilities, and we should be celebrating these abilities that we each have. Should be celebrated. They should be embraced, and they should be enjoyed by all. And that we're all just gifts. We are all complete gifts on this planet. And so that was a cool thing. Man, there's just so much to talk about. Then they brought these chimes out. Like, you hold them in your hands, and it was like, I never heard chimes like this before, but each one of them sound like 10,000 chimes in each hand, and they'd come up and wiggle them, and it was just like magical chimes. And I remember when those chimes came out, and the other shaman started singing this song, and I just started giggling. I was on my side giggling as she was going around to the other people, and people were throwing up, and I'm like, laughing at it, and it just completely giggling like a little kid. And people are crying, and I hear it, and I'm like, I'm laughing at that too. And I'm just like, I'm understanding that they're going through a process, and I was so blissful and so happy for them to go through that process. And then she came over to me with the chimes, so I set up, and I literally felt like I was a little kid again, 10x, just sitting there with complete. It was like you're 3-4 years old, and Santa comes up to you and just hands you the present you've always wanted. And I was just sitting there smiling, and tears are just, I'm just blissful, like beyond, I can't even explain it. And just tears are pouring down my face and pouring down my face. And she's got these chimes going, and it was like super intense and cool. And then in another moment, I noticed that my girlfriend was really going through some deep shit, and I was like, I didn't know if I was supposed to do it or not, but I crawled over to her, and I just started rubbing her head and rubbing her back, and I knew she was like going through something really deep, and so I wanted to go over and support her. And then the shaman kind of came over because she was taking care of some other people, and she kind of took over, and I went back to my spot, and no words were said. It's just she showed up, and I just kind of passed the torch over to her and went back to my space and laid back down. And yeah, it was all cool. And I don't know, just the singing together was another thing that was just like, it was like just complete love in the room, and there was just no limitations, and people were just releasing shit and coming together in unison. And I didn't even know most of these people when I got there, but when I left, it was like super bonded, just especially some of them I was like super bonded to. And even the ones I didn't really even spend a lot of time talking with, I just felt close to them. I mean, it was great.
Awesome. So the backside of this, when it starts to wear off, is there any withdrawal, any negativity, any of that?
No. In fact, like when the ceremony was closed, and then it's like 2-3 in the morning, and then we go into the kitchen and we eat fruit, and they make some bread and some stuff like that, some toast, to kind of get some food in people's belly. And I don't even eat bread, but I ate some bread. I was like, what the hell? And we eat a lot of fruit, and we just kind of hang out and talk and share a little bit, and then go to bed. But there's no downside at all. And I think, well, you're not supposed to do this, but you're not like supposed to have sex on ayahuasca. But on the second night, my girlfriend and I did. And let me tell you what, that was freaking radical. It was unbelievable. It was just like, it was amazing. She was just like this playful, just little creature, and I was just like so happy, and we just like melted together, and it was awesome. It was completely awesome. So yeah, it was quite an experience.
That's pretty amazing stuff, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sound like there was any downside to it at all.
No. I mean, the only downside, it depends on how you look at it, right? For me, the first night was like sitting around for 6-7 hours and just wondering, what the hell's going on. So for the new people doing this, just to, anticipate that first night you might not experience anything.
So was everybody else in the room the first night going through this stuff, and you weren't? No,
there was me and I think 2 other people that was first night. The other 8 had done it before.
So it was hitting them and not you guys.
No, actually, the one gal next to me, the first night, first time she had it, she completely had, I mean, she was crying so much and releasing such deep stuff. She had come from a very conservative Christian background, and right. She was gay, and she got to release all that shit. And I remember hearing her talk to the shaman. She's like, I'm so tired. I don't want to cry anymore. And she laid her down and consoled her and comforted her and got her just to rest a little bit. And so she blasted off the first night too. I didn't, but she did. So it can happen, you know.
Okay.
It's just unexpected. Well, not unexpected, but I just didn't know what to go into it. So that's what I learned.
With that little chunk on Netflix, I think we talked about in that last episode of episode 100, where I think it was Chelsea Handler went in that first night and didn't feel anything while her friends were kind of losing their mind. But then the second night, she definitely felt it. So that's interesting that, you know, maybe the first night, like you said, it gauges you, it feels you, you know, feels you out. And then the second night gives you the humdinger.
Yeah. Oh, and probably one of the most important things is that she was singing this song about plants, and then it just like hit me like with a wave. It's like plants heal. Like we are connected to the plants. And for everybody listening, this is such an important message that big takeaway for you is that like we are one with these plants, and there's substances in these plants, just in broccoli and in cucumbers and in sprouts and any vegetable and herbs like basil and these types of stuff. I mean, they take basil and they squeeze it and they make essential oils out of it. It's antimicrobial, right? Very powerful stuff. Antiviral, all these things. And like we're suffering so much as a nation right now with our health, and it's because we are disconnected from plants. Plants heal. There's no question. If you're suffering with your health, you just got to get plugged back into nature and get plugged back into these plants. I'm not saying to stop eating meat. I'm just saying up your plant intake big time and get the freshest plants you can. Start there and let them just work their medicine through you. Like Hippocrates said, the father of, you know, medicine, let thy food be thy medicine be thy food. Well, the medicine's the plants, and plants heal. Plants freaking heal people. There's herbs, you know, and homeopathy, all these things. It's just plants heal. That's hopefully the big takeaway for this ayahuasca experience that I can share with people, because it's something they're in control of, and they can make that happen. And if you don't have it in your local area, you can order the stuff now and they'll ship it to you through the internet. So,
you know, and this leads me to, you know, we don't want to keep you too long because I know you got other stuff to do, but today I recorded a video and I talked about all my years of training and teaching kids martial arts. And a lot of parents brought their kids to me. They were on, you know, psychotropic drugs, antidepressants, you know, all these kids with ADHD and autism symptoms. And there were a lot of these boys over the years. And, you know, this was a couple decades ago when I started teaching kids. And so they've been giving these kids these drugs for a long time. And what I recognized back then was that when these kids get older and they're off of mom and dad's insurance policy and they can't afford these drugs that have been basically affecting their minds and numbing their minds while they've been developing as youngsters and as teenagers, that, you know, they potentially could be ticking time bombs. And you know, it's a fact. We know well over 90% of the big mass shootings, those perpetrators of those shootings were raised on these prescription drugs. And you know, this is where we get to, you know, the plants heal and talking about, a lot of people really responded positively to this and saying, wow, man, finally somebody's saying it. And, you know, I've had a lot of parents when I went through the gluten allergy stuff and I got off gluten and my mind cleared up and my body was healing. I didn't have arthritis anymore all of a sudden. That, you know, people were saying to me, that's when I learned from a lot of people, people who were parents said, we took our kids off of processed foods and their, you know, their ADHD symptoms went away, their autism went away, things like that. And so I'm just stressing to them, one, you know, start feeding your kids organic vegetables and fruits and try and stay with, you know, clean grass-fed beef if you're, you know, meat eaters and things like that. And I mean, it's a perfect moment for people to understand what your products do for people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we put together. We put together it's just like a clinic in your house, basically. So we've packaged together different herbs from around the world to, you know, some of them will gently detox the gut, clean the gut out and the organ systems. You know, these are the driving force of your body. The driving engine is your digestive tract.
Right.
It's got to be clean so you can get good nutrient uptake. Another product was originally developed for the military, Critical Cleanse. That one purifies the blood, the fat, and the muscle tissue of toxins that have accumulated, like, heavy metals, mercury, cadmium, lead. Look at like in these schools. I mean, in schools, the kids are getting lead poisoning, right?
Right.
From paint that's still around, and then the piping is disgusting. Like stuff they're getting from the drinking water in the schools. It's like water is sacred, and it should be pure. It should be pure and purified nowadays, and and then our green formula, which is the nutrition. That's the one that replaces the 85% of the nutrients that have been farmed out of our soil today. And we just package that stuff up, and we can ship it to people, and they get their own little healing kits going, right?
Right.
The probiotics are spore-based, so they don't die in the stomach acid. We also put the prebiotics in with them so that they can feed them and recolonize that gut, especially with children that are and again, I'm not a doctor. Always consult with a physician before you administer anything new, foods, anything, diet, or herb supplements like that to any children or yourself. But the probiotics are really important because that's that good gut bacteria, and that really helps with the mental, because you got the gut-brain connection. A lot of people have experienced so much mental clarity, and like I'm writing an article right now. I just started busting this out on PTSD for veterans. Okay. And it's the same thing. I mean, these veterans are polluted with toxins. Their gut's jacked up. It's all plugged up with a bunch of crap in it. And it's the same thing with the kids and all of us. We just got to sweep the gut out, get the organ systems clean the blood, daily detox, daily, because every day we're bringing in. We live in a fishbowl of pollution now. And, just look around. And for people, I always say, if you don't trust me, just type in umbilical cord and chemical, and you can go back to 2005 and see all the articles showing that every single child being born today has well over 250 man-made chemicals in the bloodstream when they're born. And over 180 of those cause cancer. And 200 and some cause developmental and brain disorders and all these problems, which you were leading to like these mass shootings. So we are born polluted. So if we know this, common sense and using our adult mind is like, I need to get clean. I need to clean myself, because you can't see it. And that's why nobody's really paying attention to it, because it's the no-see-ums, right?
Yeah. So
that's what the products do. It's just basically a kit, and we have, different bundles that they can go check out on your guys' page. I think we set it up for you. It's chemicalfreebody.com/farmer detox. Farmer detox. They have to put that in so they can go to the right page. And then we have a discount code for you guys. It's Farmer. Just punch it in. You save 5% on your first order. So these products are designed as tools to help people get their health back so they can have better mental clarity, more energy. People just don't realize how good they can feel until they've went through the process and they've detoxed and they're starting to put some good fuel in their body. And you'll eat a lot less too, because once you get clean and you're getting nourished, you don't need to eat as much. So your grocery bill drops. So that lowers the investment. And,
bridging the gap of people even caring, because like you said, another time when people only start caring is when something bad has been diagnosed, and it's, we're very apt to call in the bomb squad after the bomb's already gone off. So this is that kind of proactive healthcare, so you're not popping all these pills as we get older. Right. And then you go into the medical model, which we know is broken in most cases, not all cases, right? Emergency room techs and doctors, fantastic. But to be on pills for a year or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, I mean, after a while, it's like, how I want to heal. I don't want to be on this stuff. And a lot of people don't realize this, that pharmaceutical drugs are synthetic derivatives of plants. That's it. Right. So they take you have a plant in its full spectrum, and it has all these nutrients and all these cofactors and this full spectrum, and they all come together and they work like a symphony. And what a pharmaceutical company will do in some cases, they'll take out one constituent and they'll isolate it, and then they synthesize it in a lab, and then they patent it, and they mark it up a lot, and they make a bunch of profit on it, and you get an effect, right? But it's like what I was explaining. That's like somebody playing a rock guitar that's never played the guitar before, and the amp's turned up really loud, and they're just making a bunch of noise. That's how the body feels when an isolated nutrient, a synthetic isolated nutrient comes in the body. Whereas if you get it directly from the plant, it comes in like a symphony orchestra, the woodwinds and the horns and the strings, and they all come in together and they work together in harmony. And a perfect example is just aspirin. Everybody can relate to that. I mean, who hasn't had aspirin for a headache? Aspirin comes from white willow bark. So you can just go to your store and get white willow bark and get the same effects as far as pain relief with white willow bark without the detriment. I mean, aspirin's dangerous. It's a very dangerous product.
But massive corporations have been built around that because a lot of people are experiencing pain because, their health's not there. So,
Right.
dig deeper and you'll find that it always goes back to the plants. That's what I was saying earlier. Plants heal. They heal. But with that being said, you have to be careful too, because herbal medicine is herbal medicine. And, I talked to a doctor one time, and he said he was a master herbalist. Not my formulator, Dr. Treadway, but a different doctor. And he said, I was young whippersnapper and I learned all this stuff. And he goes, man, I helped 8 out of 10 people. And he goes, did you hear what I just said? He goes, I helped 8 out of 10 people. And we were thinking, well, what happened to the other 2? And he said, one of them, it did nothing. But one of them, it backfired. So you have to be careful because it is powerful medicine.
Right.
So it's always good before you do these things to consult your physician and talk to a physician who actually understands herbs. Maybe consult with a couple naturopaths, or 3 or 4 of them, or 5 of them, or 10 of them. I mean, this is your health we're talking about here. You just don't go walk up to the first Joe and say, yeah, I'll take this and go with it, right? The doctor needs to resonate with you. They should be very healthy themselves, because if they can't walk the walk, how can they tell you what the hell to do? I mean, they literally need to have healthy skin and exercise and do all these things. And then that's the type of person that I would want to work with. If they're not healthy, I ain't working with them, because if they can't do it for themselves, why would I listen to them? They're probably just regurgitating something out of a textbook.
Right.
It's kind of like the overweight personal trainer, right?
Right.
Yeah, or the blind ophthalmologist. You want that guy working on your eyes? He can't even see.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to get the message out, and I've seen what these drugs can do. It's scary because there's millions and millions. I mean, just this statistic alone is scary enough. There's over 1 million children in the United States under the age of 6 that are on antidepressants already.
Yeah,
over 1 million kids.
Horrible.
And now imagine the millions and millions above that age that could be helped by, eating organic foods instead of processed foods, which would first take care of a lot of the issues, and then they wouldn't ever have to be on these antidepressants to begin with. So go natural, man. And as you said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food, and let's heal a bunch of people and do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, and for the parents listening, please don't be defeated or feel guilty. You're just part of a broken system. Education's really where it's at, and then taking action and learning, and you just have to educate yourself. And it's really simple. I mean, it's not really difficult, but one thing that flipped me out was when there's a ton of kids, like you mentioned ADHD earlier, right? Lots of kids on that. They put them on Ritalin. A lot of people have heard of that. Yeah. Did you know what Ritalin is? It's freaking cocaine.
It's meth basically.
Yeah, we have a lot of kids on cocaine or meth, but it's in a pill form, and a doctor gave it to you, so it's okay. Right. And it's just like there's so many better options. Just a healthy diet, daily detoxing, drinking lots of purified water, teaching your kids to chew their food really well, avoiding liquids with meals will change your life and take you from fermentation to digestion. There's so many things, these little basic little things, but they don't know about them. Like I didn't know about them. That's why I was fat and I had gut issues and my blood was coming out in my stools and I was overweight and skin issues and tired and wasn't sleeping well. It was because I was manifesting disease from a poor diet and a poor lifestyle. That's what it was. So
even though, as you say, water and fruits and vegetables are absolutely essential, the quality of those people have to up their education on that as well, because of herbicides and things that are sprayed and the water being tainted by this and this chemical. There's GMO stuff out there. So even though it is pricey, I know it's cheaper to buy 6 or 7 Happy Meals than it is to buy a couple pounds of beets, unfortunately. But I mean, we do have to start making better choices with how we consume our food and stuff. So I mean, I know
grow
it's
your
hard.
own food,
or grow your own. Absolutely.
A lot of people. I have a big garden out in my backyard. I know people can grow it out of pots. You can grow it in your house, in your condominium, on your deck. Wherever you have to.
Sprouts.
In pots. I mean, that's.
I've been growing sprouts for 9 years, 365 days a year. I got trays of sprouts just pumping out. And I just harvest them and eat them. I'm eating living foods like a wild creature. You see those wild creatures, how fast they are and how much muscle, and they're just energetic and stuff like that. You add some living foods into your diet. And if you don't want to grow them in the beginning, I get it, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to grow anything. Just go to your local store and buy sprouts. And if they don't have them, request them and say, look, when can you deliver them? Every Tuesday? Okay, I'll be in here. I'll buy a bunch of them. And you can eat tons of them because like you buy one bag and people are like, oh, that's a lot of sprouts. No, it's not. When you chew it up, it's hardly anything. It's mostly air. So in between the sprouts and stuff like that, but they kind of get spongy looking. So just eat a ton of sprouts. I mean, that's living food. And purify your water, like Jeffrey was saying. You can go to your local grocery stores now and find them where they have at least single purification, where it's reverse osmosis or distillation or deionization, and at least it's 90% pure. And that is usually somewhere between 25 cents to 44 cents a gallon. If you really love yourself, and that's what it really boils down to, is you have to get to a point where you say, look, I freaking love myself, and I'm not going to be subject to this pollution.
At least do it for your kids, because you love your kids and your wife or your family or your husband and kids, whatever. Yeah.
And some people have to start there because, like me, I didn't love myself, and I've been working on that really hard, and now I do. I love myself so much right now. I mean, I'm madly in love with myself. In fact, it was during the ayahuasca ceremony. I kind of bent over and I had my hand like behind me, and I was like rubbing my own head, and I was like, oh my God, I'm like taking care of myself, and I'm comforting myself, because I was sitting there crying. I mean, I literally didn't realize what was happening. Then when I realized, I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. So that self-love is really important. But for me, like, I changed my lifestyle and my diet and everything because my friend had cancer, and he had to because his back was against the wall. But it started with him, but then it always ends up with you. And you really have to make that commitment to yourself. So start with your kids, start with your wife or your husband, do it for them first. But eventually you're going to have to find a way to love yourself to keep it going and sustain it. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're literally setting an example for your kids to do the same.
True.
And that's where it's at.
Beautiful.
Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. Well, we're going to let you slide, my brother. I can't tell you enough, but I really appreciate that very open and transparent retrospective on your experience, man. I was obviously hoping for the best for you, but I mean, obviously the best is, really what happened. That's really cool, man. That's, obviously very transformative.
Yeah. And I didn't puke, and there was no code Browns.
Yeah. You went through it like a trooper, dude. That's definitely a good first impression of that.
So what is the ayahuasca trip kit? Is that like, you get your own personal bucket and a bottle of water and a towel?
Yeah, you have napkins, the big paper towels, and you get your own little bucket, and so like a plastic empty ice cream bucket. Probably not the best example, but with a little handle on it and stuff. Yeah. And you have a pad that you lay on, and you have a big pillow to set on when you're setting up. And a backrest would be very important. So when you go, make sure you get one of those back jacks. Depending on where you're at, you might not have a place to set up, and you're going to be setting up for a long time, right? So especially in the first 2 hours, because I said, can I lay down? She said, not for the first 2 hours. You really need to let the medicine just kind of work its way through the intestinal tract, and it's best if you're upright. So, most people have never meditated at all, let alone set up for two hours and sit there and do it. So get a back jack. If you want to have a towel, I guess. Nobody really had towels, but there was paper napkins and a little bottle of water, but it's supposed to be you're not really supposed to drink water until later. Like if you had a major release and you were crying and crying and crying and crying and crying, then they'll give you some water and maybe put a little salt in it.
So when I read the teachings of Don Juan by Carlos Castaneda, they didn't want you to drink water during a peyote trip either, because many times it would turn into a bad experience because of the water, which is pretty bizarre. One of the guys that drank water saw a dog, and the water that he drank was squirting out of the end of every hair on the dog, and he was losing his mind. So maybe that's a similar type situation with that.
Yeah, and it also dilutes the medicine. That's what she said. So it can dilute the medicine. You don't want to do that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Well, this has been very informative, sir, and people again can go to the chemicalfreebody.com/farmer detox, and their discount code is the word farmer when they're on the website. So for all you folks that want to clean out your bodies and get healthy, man, do it for your wife, for yourself, and change your family's life. Get after it.
Without a doubt. Tim, thank you, my brother. Appreciate your time as always.
You guys are more than welcome, and I was very happy to share. And I just hope that I'm here because if there's one person out there that I can help, it was totally worth my time, and I enjoyed sharing.
Well, we always get awesome comments and feedback when you're on, man. Your story the type of health transformation really does resonate with a lot of our listeners. So hopefully this story of ayahuasca and expanding one's consciousness also resonates, ladies and gentlemen. So
yeah. And I got to say one thing is, like, I do my best as the owner of the company to personally call all new clients that purchase. I try to get to all of them now. We're getting more and more. But I've talked to a lot of the farmers that have listened to you guys on the Conspiracy Farm, and been doing this for a while now. And they are getting results. They are freaking getting results, and they're telling other people. And a lot of great military people and law enforcement people are listening to this channel. And
This is awesome.
a lot of a lot of athletes. I mean, I called up a guy, and he was a retired military intelligence officer, and he is now starting a health coaching company to certify health coaches and pet coaches.
Okay.
And it was all inspired through coming through Conspiracy Farm, getting on our products, changing his life, helping his wife. Another guy was a assistant college basketball coach. He just got on the products. I mean, I've talked to tons of farmers out there and what they're doing with the products and changing their lives and losing weight and getting their mental clarity back and getting rid of PTSD and all kinds of cool stuff. So it's really awesome. I love helping military and law enforcement and just people suffering.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you guys for giving me a voice for that.
Absolutely.
Jeff, go ahead and close us out, buddy.
Yeah, man, as always, thank you to Chemical Free Body CEO Tim James. Thank you to the champ. Peace and so much love, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. There will always be more.